Hey guys, it is Chris back here again with another episode of Magic the Gathering on MTG Arena. However, today we're doing something a little different. We're doing some draft. Strixhaven just came out today, and I wanted to get I wanted to get some gameplay up, but I didn't really want to build any decks in particular, and that meant that the best way to show off the new cards was through a draft. Had a token lying around, which made it pretty easy to decide. And this first 2.5 minutes of the video is just the drafting process. The whole time that it actually took to draft was about 26 minutes. About a half-hour drafting process with other human players also taking their time to figure out what they wanted. But thanks to the magic of editing and 10 times speed, it has been condensed down into roughly 2 minutes 33 seconds. Roughly. So in this video, I ended up drafting a blue-red deck. Prismari is what they are in Strixhaven. Is it on the more well-known guild plane? Don't remember what it's called. Ravnica, that's what it's called, Ravnica. If you're going by Ravnica guilds. But we ended up drafting this deck because I wanted to try out some of the new cards that had the discard effect. Pay 2, discard, get a treasure. And I had some. My first card was red-white, which is honestly probably a stronger archetype, but we went with this. And thanks to, I guess, just the climate of the draft and what ended up getting passed through, we ended up with a lot of really powerful cards. A lot of them really aren't great in this draft format, I don't think, but they're still pretty powerful. We got Brainstorm, Opt, Counterspell, Grapeshot. So we got a lot of powerful cards. We got 20 gems because Counterspell is actually banned in Historic, so that's their way of saying you can still draft this card. It'll be okay. We did, and we're almost through the drafting process, so we're going to go into a few games here. This game, we were up against Lorehold. I ended up losing this game, which is why it's not a full game. But I did want to show off this really cool turn, because we end up just really messing around with some of the new cards here and how they work. We have the Grinning Ingus in our card pool, so we bounce it back to our hands a bunch of times, make mana, cast our Opt. We had Opt and Brainstorm in this hand at the beginning of the turn, and that really just enabled us to go off. Because we're all, at this point, what we're working towards is a grapeshot. So we can Grinning Ingus one more time before we have to go for the grapeshot. But instead of getting the Grinning Ingus down, we go for a creature that's a little less sad if it dies. And we go for the Grapeshot here. So we get 5 copies of Grapeshot. Still haven't quite figured out how the interface works on MTGA for the Storm mechanic. But I'm pretty sure I cast it the right amount of times. But I think I ended up targeting 2 creatures twice, or I ended up targeting 1 creature there twice that didn't need to be, and that's our death in this game. Our creatures died, they killed us, that's how it went. Here is another game. Don't recall off the top of my head if I lost this one, but considering we're starting in the middle of it, I assume I lost it. So we couldn't even win against another Prismari deck that was playing a little bit more sensible as far as their card choices go. 15-5, that's always a good sign in these type of drafts then. We're just playing on our cards. We have our Grinning Ingus again, gonna do what he does best. One of the really odd things that the Shuffler enabled for this draft that I found really enjoyable with the fact that we ended up playing our Grapeshot every single game. We played 5 games, we cast Grapeshot 5 times. And thanks to the copies, we cast it a whole bunch of times. So even more than 5 times. Unfortunately for us, Grapeshot is not a fair card, I guess, where you can just remove a bunch of creatures and have your way with it. You know, just have a good day. So, despite all the shenanigans we pulled off here, our Prismari opponent hits us for 5 in the face and we die. Sad times, but what can you do? That was game 2. They just get sadder from this point forward. Pretty sure we lost this one too. No, I don't think we did. Yeah, I don't think we did. But at this point in the draft, we're sitting 0-2, meaning that if we actually lose this game, it's over. So we sit there on our 2 blue mana. I was tilted at this point, so I kept a land with no red mana. We use our counterspell. If anything, we're going to flex in this, even if we're not going to win. We were in tilt mode, so that's to be expected. We opt first here in case we find a mountain, because a mountain is what we need for this hand to go from good to sizable. So we can't cast this 3 mana spell. As I said, I was tilting. But we do go for the grapeshot because it can do the same thing. 1 to our opponent's face, 1 to their creature. We just cast a counterspell and a grapeshot on MTG Arena. You guys know how cool that is. Storm, counterspell. I mean, counterspell is not legal anywhere besides draft, so it's not that useful, but still fun. They followed up with a pretty decent creature, one of the Deans. We followed up by removing the Dean. We cannot let something like that stick around. That would kill us dead. But that's another red source. Unfortunately, we don't really need it. We hold up our mana so that we can compulsive... Careful study? I think that's what it is. Insightful research? Something along those lines. We research, draw 4, discard an instant or 2. We're going to do 2 here, because we don't need all these lands. I'd rather keep the instant, because I want to actually cast it at some point. So we get down our Legendary Student here. The nice thing about the Legendary Student is that if we can arrange a complex combo of cards to reduce the cost of our 7 mana spell, and we have that card on the battlefield, we can actually cast it twice. Luckily for us, all the combo pieces that we need to perform this little synergy are within our hands, so that's the other piece we need. It hits for 2, reduces the cost of our spell by 2. The cost to return her to our hand to copy a spell is also 2. Next turn we'll be at 8 mana actually, so we're a little over the curve, but eking out that extra value, those 2 extra elementals, definitely will be worth it for us in the end. So we go in for the attack first. Our elementals don't have haste, so it's not like they could do anything. Hit our opponent. They're thinking things over, looking at us, probably questioning what horrible spell we could be casting. No fear our opponent shows. We cast our spell, praying they don't have a counter spell, because that would have ruined our day, but we would have got at least 1 copy of it even if they had countered it. So, our 2 copies resolve, and we've just put 16 power on the board. That is a lovely addition to our board state. And our opponent is looking at our tokens, marveling at the sheer audacity that we had just showed them, and they scoop it up. That was game 3. A victory has been achieved. Now we're moving on here into game 4 of our draft. We have a whole blue hand. That worked out for us last time, so we're not going to question that really. Put down an island, hold up the opt. Better to use the opt as the brainstorm is more for our combo purposes. We don't want that this game. Opponent has put down a card that makes them waste their turn 2. Well, not waste, but they get 1 mana of any color as long as they pay 1 when it comes down that land. It's like Rupture Spire, except for it's not Rupture Spire, which is a little weird, but I think it's something commons. We pass, we're not going to use the Brainstorm. Not that familiar with Brainstorm, but I have seen it is a good card, but I'm pretty sure I know the reason why it was passed up is because the person who passed it knew that you can lose yourself the game with it. Which is a scenario where you draw 3 cards and then you have to put 2 useless cards back on the top of your library, and you're stuck drawing them for the rest of the game. You generally want shuffle effects, which is why during the drafting process I considered shifting over into green to get the shuffle effects that I needed. But I decided not to. They lose 2 life, we each lose 2 life, they draw 2 cards. Helping us out, really, because we're trying to get the life as low as possible. The reason they didn't attack in there was because our wolf was going to become a 3/3 if they did. Which was good for us. So we put up the pressure, get down a couple of creatures, and then swing in for 3 in the air. So they can attack in without losing their creature, but we can attack in with our flyer. The way we hope to close this game is in the air, but we don't know if our opponent will allow us to do that or not. At this point, they're definitely thinking over their options. They're a little mana tight, which is why this cultivate is a good thing for them. They had 3 swamps, 1 commons which could be used as a green source. So I imagine that's probably where their slower start came from. We were rocking a pretty similar mana base there for a bit, but our card draw got us out of it. So here, we're going to actually end up looking 5 deep in our library. Put it back that way. That's the best way for us. And then we're going to put back the same 2 cards and keep the land here. Try to remove his creature. But unfortunately for us, there is a response. +1/+1 in hexproof. Some snake skin. Swing in for 3 like we normally do. Our brainstorm actually wasn't very punishing for us, because we ended up drawing this spell where you can pay 3 and X to draw X cards, which means next turn we can put down our mountain and draw 4 cards. And that'll get us out of the brainstorm lock and an additional 3 cards deep. Unfortunate that they have the black version of that card though, and that will kill one of our creatures. We're just going to take the 4 here. It's not an ideal swing in life total, but we have options. We're going to swing in for 5 here. And instead of drawing, we're going to actually put down 2 4/4s. Be cute if we could come up with some kind of combo synergy for them, but for that spell, but we're a little pressed at the moment. Good thing about our red 2-drop there, which is actually the first card we picked in the draft, has a white back half to it, but red on the front, is that it has a pump ability on it. 2 mana, 1 red, 1 generic for 2 additional power. So we can actually pressure with it if we need to. But then putting down that 5/5 makes it pretty unappealing. So we're just going to go for the draw here. Draw 4. Pretty decent. Swing in for 3. Still have our grapeshot in hand. That is the Chekhov's gun of this episode of Magic the Gathering. You see it, you know it's going off. Every game we cast it. They're going to lose 2 more life and draw 2 more cards. Our opponent is a black player after my own heart, I will say that. I too like killing myself drawing cards. Killing myself to draw cards. So we're gonna cast this spell. Not for value, for a lesson. Could have got the Exile, but we're gonna get the one that looks for basic land. At this point, we're just trying to storm off for 4. Because if we can get 4 on our grapeshot, we can actually just kill them. And we get our 4 needed. So we get 3 copies, 1 original. 3 copies hit our opponent. And then ideally our flyer, 3 power, will get in and do the rest of the damage. Here's hoping. They cast a spell. They gain some life. We don't profit. Sad, but that is the eventuality that we found ourselves in. And eventuality is definitely a word, and I wouldn't say it if it wasn't. We've gained 2 life. Good for them. Good for them. So we might be doing a few more drafts here. So I have 2 more drafts worth of gems saved up. Thinking about using it towards the Mastery Pass, but I generally don't get the Mastery Pass until a week or 2 before it actually rotates out. Because you get all the rewards from the Mastery Pass even if you're on the appropriate level. So if you're at level 70, you get all the rewards that a player who made it to level 70 with the Master Pass would get when you unlock the Mastery Pass. I actually learned this from a guy on Reddit who did some videos on it where he would wait until the end of the season and then unlock the Mastery Pass and show all the rewards from it. Pretty neat idea. Stole it because it's very efficient for collection keeping. That way you don't actually have to know if you're going to be spending your gems or not. So we are doggedly trying to kill our opponent. They have a flyer in play. So unfortunately for us, they're going to be able to block one of our 3/1s, and it will die. Their creature will die too, but they have a nifty little spell that means they'll get a creature with lesser sort of mana cost from their library when it dies. That's actually a cool spell. Unfortunately for us, it gains them another 2 life. So our opponent is living the dream over there. I do not remember if we win this game. I'm pretty sure we do, but it's looking a bit iffy here. Gonna be honest. And That's even with some prior knowledge. I know how many minutes are left in this video. That makes it look even more dodgy. But I assure you this is game 5. And that may mean I'm missing a game. Which I may have cut out for some reason. Don't remember why though. So they take 1 here. Things are looking bad. I may have been mistaken. This may be game 5. Because we lose game 5. It's looking like it's going to go that way. So back up to 9. Back up to 10. Oh my god. Alright, so we're going to research. We're going to copy our research. Gonna discard our counterspell. So we're gonna end up drawing 8 here. We want to keep that instant. It's a really good one. In fact, that instant wins us the game. So we attack in with our 2 flyers. And this turns out to be game 4. And we deal 5 to their face. Looks like game 5 was the one that got cut. Because we are out of time on this video. Well, thank you all for watching. Oh wait, there it is. Cut to the ribbons, but there we are. Thinking about playing something, our Grinning Ingus. Gonna do our little grapeshot combo. Finish things off. Prove that I'm not lying, that we did cast grapeshot 5 games in a row. Fortunately, it doesn't save us here. And this is gonna be our record. So I want to thank you guys for watching. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoy Strixhaven. This has been Chris, and goodbye for now. Man, this is depressing. And we die. Adios, amigos.